We left Tuamotus well provisioned. The fruit should last for the next 2 weeks. In the Tuamotus it's said that it's difficult to grow. The birds are already trying to eat our antenna. The beginning of the passage is easy. Nice sailing. Even dolphins join us, but soon the wind dies. We're not too unhappy about it, as we catch a doré, or mahi-mahi. This beautiful fish lasted for a few days. Besides fishing, we also took care of our laundry. And already next morning we saw the first palms. However, far, far in the distance.
So, da vorne liegt diesen ersten Pass.
We got ready to enter the pass. Isa watched closely for shallow areas and currents. However, this pass, it was super simple. Very quiet, but a little shallow at the end.
Da sieht man jetzt bereits recht, vor uns rechts, sieht man bereits das Wasser sich ein verändert.
We sailed on inside the lagoon to meet with Marion.
Können wir entspannt Südsee segeln. Wir fahren nach 5 Meilen.
We dropped anchor in the northeast of Fakarava. Is this going to be paradise? As it looks like paradise? This paradise for sure also has some dangers. I carefully lower the camera into the water to see if I can get some shots. Excited by what we've seen, we head over to the beach to meet the other cruisers.
Mega in Ausgang. Es geht dann Baustab.
Beach bar.
Jetzt sind wir fein essen.
The next day we explored the coral reef and snorkeled a little bit in the shallow areas. This little place of green they call a motu. As we are here around slack tide, there is no water around it. We start snorkeling after the walk. From the shallow water we head towards the island. I am curious how the interior will look like. For sure there will not be a trail. I was wrong. The locals established a little path along the island. Rice, coconut and fish. That's what the travel guides write as a typical meal. Well, maybe sometimes a pig. We stop our little exploration and go back to the boat. There, at breakfast, we get surprised by the birds. The birds and the big fish team up to eat the small fish.
Ja, Vögel oder Fisch?
This was great entertainment besides breakfast, but we want to go on, back to Fakarava South Pass. South Pass is the capital of Sharkistan.
Willkommenskomitee ist auch schon da.
The sharks arrive before we drop anchor.
Für Tom geht unsere Fender an der Ankerkette montieren, dass wir nicht über die Korallen hineinschleifen und gefangen bleiben. Und es sind schon ganz viele neugierige Haie im Wasser.
I float the chain so that it doesn't get wrapped into the coral heads. At that time we were still scared by the sharks.
Die Haie scheinen sich nicht mehr für uns zu interessieren, weil es im Moment nicht so schlecht ist.
The black tips keep their distance and the greys just drift along the ground. So I slowly get used to the sight of sharks around me swimming.
Was es da unten alles zu sehen gibt. Offensichtlich, das ist spannend. Wie sieht es aus? Wie sieht es aus?
It's exciting, all these animals around the ship. So I had to go back in and see how close I could swim to the sharks. The next day would really get sharky. We are going to snorkel the pass and get used to more sharks before that. The locals clean their catch nearby. That doesn't only attract sharks. It also attracts tourists, of course.
Crazy, yeah? Yeah. Oh.
As the skies are cloudy, we explore the island first. This island has a little hotel, and it also has some dive schools. We are walking on a coral bottom. The main street, and only street, is pretty straight. And as the weather gets better, we head back to the Sharky Pass. We challenge ourselves to a dive close to the dock first. Then, with a little more confidence, we head out into the pass. We join into this wildlife and are amazed by the multitude of animals around us. We spend hours snorkeling and freediving above these corals, drifting along big and small fish, and watching carefully for sharks. The small fish as well as the strange fish and a lot of corals. It's an amazing world we are drifting through. Exhausted and very satisfied, we make it back to the boat. We snorkeled the pass for several days, but eventually we had to move on. We watched our anchor below the sharks and got ready to move on.
Korallen. Also weißt, wir sind nicht voll groß.
It's time for some provisioning again, as well as some pearl shopping. Turns out the pearl farmer is Swiss. He grew his business from 20 oysters to 2 million oysters.